Hello, welcome. My name is Alden Reed. You're watching Arcane Tablets. Thank you for joining me tonight. So it's after midnight. I love recording these videos late at night. I like doing some of my other videos in the daytime, especially when I'm talking about color tribes and some stuff, right? But getting together at night and just riffing a little bit feels good. So I want to talk just about how it's very important to be honest with yourself and get into alignment with the things that matter the most to you, right? And you shouldn't just do this because it's going to make you feel better in a general sense, right? But also because it's going to help all sorts of other things flow in your life, right? And I made a video about alignment already, and I'll probably talk about this a lot more in the future, right? And one of the things that I was emphasizing when I was talking about alignment is that it's really more important than fixating and focusing too much on manifestation, right? A lot of people are very concerned or trying to figure out how to manifest the things they want, how to find the right timeline, which is really more the way that I would put it. I think we can get a little bit too caught up with some of the manifestation talk and some of the ideas surrounding how manifestation exactly works. When we kind of think about it in a little bit more of a simple way, right? When we think about it in terms of getting in touch with our desires, right? We've got all these desires. I kind of talked about this a little bit in an earlier video. In many ways, there's many different versions of ourselves, right? Contained within our essence, you might say, right? We incarnate and we sort of forget who we are. We don't necessarily know what we're trying to do in this particular lifetime, right? And so we start to become this certain version of ourselves, largely based on all sorts of other stuff that's going on, all sorts of influences and pressures. We have our family and our friends, and then society, and then we start to learn about all these philosophies and ideologies, right? Different ways of being, right? But ultimately, there's something deeper inside all of us. Our soul has a plan, sort of a blueprint, an idea of what we want to do in each particular lifetime. And you sort of have to discover that, sort of like peeling back all these layers of an onion, right, to figure out what's really down there. And so we can have these conflicting desires, right? And oftentimes it has to do with how we grow and develop into this one version of ourselves, maybe not necessarily without thinking or knowing or reflecting too much on what we really want. Sometimes we just don't even know yet. You have to sort of experience life, experience all sorts of different things. Start to think more critically about all this stuff that's happening. Start to think more carefully about what really matters to you. So it's totally understandable. Absolutely. It's important for us to forgive ourselves, to go easy on ourselves. Lord knows I can be just so brutally, viciously hard on myself. And I'm sure that a lot of other people feel the same way, especially if you're, kind of trying to do good things, right? Trying to make the world a better place, trying to get along with people, care about things. There's so much negativity and negative behavior still in our reality right now. And I think we can see that it's sort of moving in a very positive direction, even though at the top, of course, things can be so, frankly, quite evil. If we could just get all the leaders of the world, right, to just kind of resign and step down, right? Get a newer generations of people coming in. But anyways, I could go off on a whole tangent there. The point that I'm trying to make right now, the main message that I'm trying to bring forth tonight, is that it is so critical to get into alignment and to be honest with yourself about what really matters and what you really want. And so I'll give a really personal example, right? It's very important for me at a deeper soul level at this point in my life to be a sober vegan, right? I would like to really go through the rest of my life not really using substances, right? And I would also like to go through the rest of my life not consuming animal products anymore. And it can be a difficult thing. I've used a lot of substances in my life, and I've also enjoyed a lot of animal products in my life, right? And as you get older, you get a little bit more set in your ways, and it can be a lot of social pressure. Although, the more I start to think about it critically, I realize that a lot of the social pressure, it's really pressure that we create ourselves, right? I think that we're just afraid sometimes to just step into what matters the most to us. And sometimes then we can project a little bit of that pressure out on other people. It's not to say that there isn't social pressure to do certain things. Definitely there is. Obviously, there's a lot of substance use and a lot of consumption and use of animal products in our modern world still right now. So I'm not trying to say that that doesn't matter at all. I'm just saying that I think you find the more you're just simple and honest in the way you look at these things, it really does come down to you just making the best decisions for yourself. And we often can project a lot of that pressure on other people, on society, which is, again, not to say that it's not there, but in reality, if you just are confident and honest with what you really want, it's not so hard really to get into alignment, okay? And what you find is when you get more into alignment, when you're honest with yourself, not only does it just make you feel better, right? Sometimes on a physical level, like I physically feel better being a sober vegan, so that's great, absolutely. But it's about so much more than that, right? It's also about getting other things in your life going the way you want. When you're in alignment, when you're listening to the things that are most important to you, whatever they may be, that for me, being a sober vegan, and also I should say, making these videos, just putting myself out there, sharing myself with the world, right? Those core things that I've struggled so much to do really over the past 10 to 12 years, honestly, ever since I had my spiritual awakening, right? Just doing those things, when I get on the path of doing those things, I feel so much better, and so many other things in my life go better. And it's really the same for you. It can be the same for you. It can be the same for everyone, right? When you listen to yourself and trust your desires and get into alignment with what really matters, you'll find that other things, maybe in your professional life, in your social life, all sorts of stuff just starts to go right for you, right? You just start to sort of find these magical timelines. And if you think about it, it's like when you're making different decisions, different things will happen, right? Your day goes in a different way, right? And as a result of that, all sorts of other stuff starts to open up in conjunction, right? So by doing these core things, by listening to my deepest desires, all of a sudden I find that other things go even better. So it's not just about the immediate benefits that you might get, right? Like I said, I feel better, regulating more what I put into my body. And then I feel better, of course, just getting out here and talking to you and making these videos. But then other things go right. It can even be something kind of funny, like I'm a big sports fan, okay? Love sports. It's one of my favorite things to do, right? One of my favorite pastimes, one of my favorite ways of relaxing, right? And one thing that I started to notice, and this is really deeply magical, is that when I get on the path of alignment, right, and do all these other things that I know I should be doing, that I know that I care a lot about, I notice that some of the teams that I root for even do better. Some of my teams are like winning more games as a result of getting in alignment, right? And it's just kind of something that goes along. It's like something that goes in conjunction with being in alignment. I'm not saying that exactly because I'm doing these other things, because I'm getting into an alignment, that means directly, that a team that I'm rooting for is going to win a game, okay? It's more just that you're entering into certain timelines and realities where the universe, God, Spirit is just going to kind of reward you in a sense. You're going to find that the same timelines and realities where you're in alignment with your deepest desires also bring with them so many other positive things. And sometimes even things that you think that you might need to give up, but oftentimes it's really more about the big stuff, right? And so just sticking to the core principles that matter to you, engaging in the most important behaviors, doing the things that are going to make you feel the best, will then lead to all sorts of other stuff happening. And when we're not feeling good, when we're not in alignment, that's when we can start to get overly critical, hypercritical, and start to perhaps even think that we need to let go of certain things that really didn't matter as much, right? And I think that makes sense. Because when you're not doing the big things, you start to look at smaller things, right? You get picky about tweaking minor things in your life that are really not as important one way or the other, right? For example, you might be fixated on trying to spend your time better or something, or maybe you think you need to, change your routine, or not do this or not do that. All these sort of little things that people like to kind of play with and adjust. But in reality, it's more about the big stuff, right? When you're in alignment and doing the most important things, what really matters to your soul, what's really making you happy, all that other stuff falls into place. I'll give you another example, right? Feeling so much better again. Like I said, sober vegan, making these videos, great stuff. I find that all of a sudden, too, that I'm easily able to clean my house and sort of declutter my environment. I'm able to exercise more. I'm able to just make all sorts of better decisions, right? Things just flow better, right? Message. Right by a main road here, so you might hear some sirens sometimes, but I'd like to think that that's also the universe kind of just clicking in, supporting what I'm saying to you here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. No arcane mysteries to discuss tonight. I'm sure we'll get back to some of that. I got all sorts of good color tribe stuff coming, so I'm really excited to bring forth a lot of that information. I think that's some of the most important things that I want to talk about. Even though I love talking about metaphysics and arcane mysteries and all sorts of other stuff, and we'll still get some videos covering some of these topics out, in addition to other videos just trying to give you some of this other positive advice, right? So, yeah, that's really it for tonight. It's really important to be in alignment, right? To be honest with yourself. All sorts of people are trying to manifest and create things, but they're not necessarily being honest with themselves, right? When you're really honest with yourself and you identify the most important things in your life that you need to pursue or change or adjust, you'll find that there's an immense amount of positive baggage that all of a sudden you'll start to carry. Things will start to open up and really flow in such a better way. And you'll realize that fussing about a lot of little things here or there, or trying to force yourself into certain things, sometimes it's not really the thing. It's really about the big stuff, right? You go out and you try to get a self-help book, and I'm not saying that it can't be helpful and that you might not get some good information, but again, it's really about your core values, about your core desires, and getting in alignment with those things. And then the more you do that, the more everything just clicks together and starts to feel really good. So I encourage you, Don't try to nibble around the edges so much. Don't worry about a lot of the little stuff, okay? Ask yourself, what really matters to me? What are the most important things? What's really going to make me happy? What is my soul really calling me to do? Because when you do that stuff, then all the other stuff and the little stuff falls into place. And you'll figure everything else out much more easily. And all sorts of other stuff in your professional life, in your social life, maybe your sports teams, whatever it might be, is going to start to go much better. You're going to find these better, more positive timelines for yourself where everything is just flowing so much better. Just like I am right now. Just sitting down and making these videos and riffing. And even though I'm sober, I'm feeling better and feeling less and less like I need alcohol or any kind of substance to get out here and put myself out here. And that's great. That's a wonderful thing. So I want you to know that I love you very much. And God loves you very much. I want you to know that you are wonderful and beautiful and absolutely perfect, just the way you are. Many blessings. We'll see you again very soon.